Hi guys, and welcome to the Devonshire Diz, a Devonshire take on all things Disney. Today, Lauren and I continue our Flashback to Feb series as we take a trip around the world and journey into imagination as we cover our visits to Epcot. Let's get into it. Hi guys, and welcome back to the Devonshire Diz and our Flashback to Feb series. We're going to have to change the name because we're calling it Flashback to Feb, and now we're in March 2023. So we're over a year now since we came home from Walt Disney World. Our Flashback to Feb series is Flashback to Feb 2022. In this episode, I'm joined again with Lauren.
Hi.
And we are going to go through my personal favourite theme park. I think out of all the years that I've been going, it's always been my number one theme park, and that is Epcot. I honestly thought we weren't going to spend as much time in Epcot as we did. I think thinking about going on this trip with a toddler in tow, I didn't think there was going to be enough to keep her entertained, and I was sorely mistaken.
We spent 2 full days in there, didn't we?
So we had a date night, just the two of us, and I think we also spent another afternoon in there as well. So it was frequented for sure. And there was a good reason for it. When we went in February 2022, it was our first experience of the Festival of the Arts, which was one of the festivals that we hadn't been to previously. We've been to Flower and Garden and Food and Wine.
Yeah, it's just the Christmas one we haven't ticked off.
No, that's bucket list. We'll have to do that at some point. Of course, there were a lot of updates going on in Epcot, which kept us entertained, looking at the construction updates for the hub, and also taking in new rides such as Ratatouille and the French Pavilion being expanded. The Guardians of the Galaxy ride was nearing its end of construction, but we didn't quite make it. It was still a work in progress while we were out there.
We caught it just as they put the ship up, hadn't they?
Yeah.
And they just finished off painting the building, hadn't they?
Yes, yeah, the side of it.
We spent probably about a quarter of an hour watching the man up the cherry picker painting a side of a building because Penny was fascinated.
Yeah. So there was a lot of construction going on. The one thing they had completed when we got there was the updates to the park entrance itself.
Mm-hmm.
So where we used to have the spires in the entrance and the Leave a Legacy that was created in 2000, and now it was completely revamped, very open, and of course a new fountain with those new acrylic pylons as well.
It was much more open, wasn't it? It's way easier to manoeuvre through now.
We mentioned in the Animal Kingdom episode about the entrances to the icons, and that whole refresh of the park entrance for Epcot really does make Spaceship Earth and the new fountain really pop.
Yeah.
What did you think of the new pylons? They're a lot bigger in person than I thought they were going to be.
They are, but at the same time, they're not stupidly in your face.
No.
Not like the Leave a Legacy walls were. They were just massive concrete walls that were in your face as soon as you walked in.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, this doesn't take away from Spaceship Earth.
No, not at all. Not at all. We'll get into the evening side of things a little bit later. Spoiler alert for when we discuss that. It really is something else in the evening, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing. Probably our favourite beacon.
100%. Once you get past Spaceship Earth, that's when we initially hit the start of the construction of that central hub area.
Yeah, the construction's not particularly fun to manoeuvre, but it's a means to an end.
You had to weave in between different areas of the park, which you wouldn't necessarily walk, because you can't walk in a straight line down the central hub and towards the World Showcase.
You basically go straight in. If you go left, you go straight to Test Track, don't you? Whereas if you go right, you go to Nemo.
Yeah, you're pushed into the two Future World lands.
Whereas before it would feel like a bit of a walk from the central hub. Now you're straight into those areas.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a welcome revamp to that area when...
Oh, I liked the walk feature that used to be there. But it'll look a lot nicer now because it was a bit old school looking, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was time for a revamp. I'm actually really looking forward to the updates. I mean, the Moana walkthrough is going to be right up Penny's alley.
That's the bit I'm most excited about, is the Moana walkthrough. It will look a lot nicer than what it did before with just two massive semicircle buildings there. It's a lot more interactive, isn't it? Especially for kids.
Yeah.
Because there's not really anything interactive, is there, for them to walk through or interact with at that part?
Well, they used to have innovations, didn't they, that you could go in and try out all of these new or new of the time different games and different stations. But ultimately, like a lot of Brits, we want to be outside in the Floridian sunshine. So as part of me when I was growing up, as much as I enjoyed being in innovations and at the play pavilion and everything like that, we only spent a certain amount of time in there because you want to get outside and go on some of the rides, walk around the World Showcase, be in the Floridian sun a bit.
They have the play park, don't they, on the other side?
They do, yes. That play park was still open.
A good addition, wasn't it? Because they keep changing that, don't they?
Well, it changed in theming completely to, I think it was a Princess Tiana overlay that they added, but then they've moved it back now to what it was when we went, which was essentially just a Wall-E sign. The Green Landing Playground, which was outside of what was Mouse Gear and now Creations. And we'll get into Lauren's merchandise section at the end of the episode.
Get away, I didn't spend that much this time in Epcot.
Let's have a talk about the festival that was going on at the time that we went, and the Festival of the Arts. How did that compare in comparison to the other two festivals that you've been, the Food and Wine and also the Flower and Garden?
Flower and Garden will always be my favourite.
Oh, okay.
But I think Festival of the Arts was better than Food and Wine for me.
Interesting.
Just there's a lot more to see and do. And I feel like it's more family orientated than Food and Wine.
Yeah. Food and Wine is targeted at adults going there to enjoy some of the cocktails and the alcoholic beverages that are on offer, as well as the different foods from around the different pavilions. Whereas Festival of the Arts, there were a lot more stations and a lot more attractions that were family orientated and also toddler orientated for a lot of it as well, which was really handy.
They were just really interactive, weren't they? Like they didn't every little section had an interactive bit that you could, even if it was just talking to someone about what the little section was or what they were doing, even talking to the artist, wasn't it?
There is some beautiful pieces around the World Showcase and actually around the whole park. It was very spaced out, and it was great to go and see all these different sections as someone who is a Disney art fan. But if you weren't into that sort of things, there were so many different elements of art, such as the performances, the acrobatics that we had seen, the music that was on show there as well as the different food offerings and drink offerings that you would associate with like Food and Wine or even Flower and Garden. You're also getting speciality items from around the World Showcase as well, which was really good.
I'd say our two favourite things to do with Penny though was she loved the chalk art, didn't she? And that was outside the Land Pavilion. And we only found that on the off because we went and sat in the shade while you went and got the buggy. And then we saw another kid with the basket of chalks and we went and asked the lady, didn't we? And she gave Penny one. She must have spent a good half an hour doing chalk art on the floor.
Yeah, that was a really good addition because I'd heard of professionals going there and doing some chalk art on the floor, and there were some really beautiful pieces on the floor out of chalk. Like, some people just have far too much talent how you'll be able to make such beautiful pieces out of chalk.
It's more the fact it's 3D. How do you make chalk 3D? It was just incredible.
Yeah, there was a frozen piece and you have a circle in a certain position of where to stand, and when you stand in that position and look at the chalk art on the floor, it really did come out at you. It's really, really clever.
The other bit that was outside the Land was the painting, wasn't it? The mural, which we did before? I can't remember if we did it before or after the chalk. But that was free as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I thought that was really key for Disney because there's a lot of add-ons in a Disney holiday that you hear about these days. But the fact that they had, I believe it's called the expression section, where you have this large mural and you're able to put your piece of art into that mural by painting some of the squares, for free, was really, really good.
They just give you a little, you go and get your little paint splodger, don't you? It's basically a sponge on a stick. But you get one of them each, and they give you a numbered pot of paint, don't they? And then, depending on what day it is or how busy it is, they tell you how many squares and what to paint, don't they? Because your little paint pot has a number on the top, which associates to a square on the picture.
That's right, yeah.
I think we had 3 colours between us, didn't we? And did we do 4? I think it was like 4 squares I think we got to do or something like that. 3 or 4 squares. But that was great because all 3 of us got to have a go at that, and Penny loved it.
And what's really good, it's not a one and done thing. So we went one time and it was a mural of, I believe it was World Showcase Lake.
Yeah, at night time.
Like a nighttime scene. And the next time we went, it was something completely different, and they kept changing it over and over.
They had a Figment one, didn't they?
Yeah, there was a Figment one there. So that was really, really good. It's not like, it's there for the start of the festival, and then once it's done, it's done. And again, free. Got to take the packs.
I really like that bit. That was probably one of my favourite parts of Festival of the Arts this time.
Alongside the chalk art and the expression section, another really good addition that I believe was brought in for the Festival of the Arts was all of the little hidden artworks that were around the World Showcase pavilions.
Oh, you mean like they were chalked onto like painted onto the buildings?
Yeah, at the back of the UK pavilion, I think there was Robin Hood and Little John.
Yeah, and in Italy they had Luca.
Yeah, they had the cat, and then they had them against the fountain.
Mm-hmm.
And another piece of art that you are able to find, which actually did come with an upcharge, was the scavenger hunt.
Mm-hmm. That was on my list to do, wasn't it? Though, because I thought she'd really enjoy that. The one we had was the Figment paintings. So it was a really famous painting from each part of the world, and you had to find that painting in the pavilion. But the twist was that Figment was in the picture instead of it being. So one of them was the Mona Lisa, but it wasn't Mona Lisa. It was Figment as Mona Lisa. Others were just Figment on the frame. We saw a lot more of each of the areas of the showcase because of that.
Yeah, the Morocco one stands out, where it really was in the back of the pavilion. I don't think I've ever been that far into the Moroccan pavilion, but you got to see the whole thing.
We had to walk right the way through, didn't we?
Yeah.
That was really good. That was $12.95, I think.
I think with tax it was around 12.
Yeah, and then when you finish it and you've completed it all, you just take your little scavenger hunt map back, and then you get a prize. Our prizes were plates, weren't they? Which we were a bit sad about because I was hoping it would be the little painting the figurines, but we were too late in the festival to get those.
Yeah, I think the early scavenger hunts came with a paint by number Figment sculpture, but we got a Frozen plate, which, to be fair, with Penny being a Frozen fan, she was more than happy with that. And then you're at least getting something for paying the upcharge, as well as enjoying going around all of the different pavilions. So that was really, really good.
Yeah, we liked that one, didn't we? Although it did take us like the 2.5 days to complete.
Yeah, and that's another good point actually for anyone who's considering this. It's not like you have to do these Epcot scavenger hunts all in one hit. Obviously, if you go to something like the Flower and Garden or Food and Wine, it's something slightly different. The holiday festival is different cookies, so it's not like you have to eat all of the different cookies to get the prize. And in this case, it wasn't that we had to go and see every Figment piece of art in one hit before we could get the prize. We could space it out over a couple of days.
None of them you have to do in one go, do you?
No.
Even the ones in the passport you don't need to do in one hit. You could literally do them over the whole festival.
Yeah, so another scavenger hunt for the little ones, which this time was free, was the Kid Cot.
Within each pavilion of Wow Showcase, you can go there and they have a Kid Cot station where they give you a little Ziploc bag that looks like a little suitcase, and it comes with a postcard that gives you information about the country or the pavilion that you're in. They give you a sticker to put on your postcard to say you've completed it effectively, but each postcard also has like either colouring or a dot to dot, or like I think there's a word search on one of them.
Yeah.
So they're interactive as well, but as well as giving them a little bit of information. But I think we did that over the 2.5 days as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
And again, they were in different spots to these pictures that we had to find, which meant we then went to different parts of the pavilion as well. Like Mexico was easy because you just walked through the door and he was just down the stairs, wasn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in Canada is the one I'm thinking of. It was right by the entrance to go into the
La Cellier.
Yeah, which you'd never normally go to unless you wanted to go to a restaurant. So that was really good because it's really informative, wasn't it? She really liked collecting those and going and asking the person for her postcard. That was another one on my list because it was free and I thought it'd be really good and interactive. And it was. I'd do it again.
Yeah, oh, definitely. And I think Penny would do it again.
Yeah.
I think any toddler would enjoy going. And then that's another point, how we were surprised we spent so much time in Epcot with a little one in previous trips that we have taken as adults going to Disney parks. You're looking at thrill rides and going around the pavilions, trying different food, trying different drinks, etc. Now with a toddler, it's opening yourself up to different experiences around Epcot, which you wouldn't necessarily take any notice of.
I would go as far as saying Epcot was probably the most interactive around showcase for kids.
I think it probably was.
Animal Kingdom's obviously got the up trail. You can be a wilderness explorer. Studios doesn't have anything like that for kids. And you could claim that Magic Kingdom has it because of the statues, but those statues are around all 4 parks. So yeah, I'd definitely say Epcot was the most interactive from that sense.
Back into the Festival of the Arts, and as we mentioned, it's not all about the painting and the artwork. There was a really good show. It was called Art Defying Gravity, and it was right in front of the entrance to the World Showcase and the lake. We sat there for, I don't know, half hour watching them while Penny was waking up from a nap, and then when she woke up, she was enthralled by them.
Yeah, we watched them, and then there was a band on after, wasn't there?
Yeah.
She had a bit of a dance to them as well.
It was like a rotational thing, wasn't it? It was first it was acrobatics, then it was music, and then it went back to something different.
It was just a one-off that we found it when we were walking past, wasn't it? But I think they did have the times on a board.
Yeah, I think the show times were showing on your little leaflet that you could get with the map as well.
We just never looked for it, did we? Because we didn't think we'd stop. But no, it was good. I enjoyed that. And it meant we got to sit and watch it in peace while she had a bit of a kit.
I believe we might have had an alcoholic beverage while we were waiting for her to wake up.
I do believe we did.
But we balanced it because we had a popcorn waiting for her when she woke up. So with regards to the other pavilions and Festival of the Arts, there was a stall which stood out to both of us when we were looking at what we wanted to try, and that was the Encanto-inspired booth. Do you remember what it was called?
No, I wouldn't be able to say.
It was called the Vibrante and Vivido.
You only know that because you wrote it down.
Definitely Googled it. But there were 2 items that we really wanted to try. The first one was the alcoholic one, which was the frozen pina colada.
That was so good.
Really, really good. Definitely recommend that for anyone who ever goes to a Festival of the Arts. That's really, really nice. And the second one was the coconut and passion fruit smoothie, which was non-alcoholic. But reason for getting that was because it came with a souvenir glass which said Festival of the Arts on it.
Anyone that knows me knows I love a souvenir.
We've got plenty of souvenir cups, haven't we? And that added to the collection.
That was only the first souvenir cup we got from this trip as well. Do you remember what the other one was? Do you need a hint? We went to Pop Eats.
Yes.
And we purely bought the tomato soup with the grilled cheese because I wanted the little tin that the soup came in. It was great.
That was a really busy booth as well, Pop Eats. It was really popular.
It was. Anyone that knows me knows that I don't eat tomato soup, so hence the reason I only wanted the souvenir.
So I had the grilled cheese, Penny had the soup, and you got to take home a slightly sticky tomato soup plastic tin that said Pop Eats on it.
It will be in a true mum fashion. I think I went to the toilets and rinsed it out in the sink.
Anything else with Festival of the Arts that we're missing off?
No, because I don't think we tried any of the other booths. I think the only other things we got round the showcase was a beer from Canada, because that's like our tradition.
Yes, always got to have a beer in Canada. Good place to get beer, the Canadian Pavilion.
Well, it's the cheapest and it's the nicest tasting one, isn't it?
And it's always quiet.
And then the only other thing we bought on the outside was I bought my Mango Star.
Yes, over at the refreshment outpost.
Mm-hmm.
You had seen that online, haven't you?
Oh, it was so good.
So the Mango Star is mango puree and Star African rum. So rum and mango, great combo.
It was so good.
Very sweet, wasn't it? But
yeah,
it was nice.
Right up my street.
especially on a really hot day, because from what I recall, it was an incredibly warm walk round World Showcase at that point.
It was, but we went and bought it because Penny went for a nap.
And again,
Mum win.
again, something which we have mentioned on the other parks, places to go with your toddler when they're napping. Epcot is made for it. Having that World Showcase and being able to just stroll around, especially with the Festival of the Arts on. There's so much for us to have a little look at. We stopped at some of the different art booths and took in some of the art, had a little look around other bits and pieces that was going on while she was napping. And by the time you'd done that full loop of the World Showcase, Penny had had a good nap and was recharged, and you got to enjoy a bit of the festival.
Twice managed to do that, didn't we?
I think both times, both full days that we went to Epcot, she had a nap in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And we got to see a lot more of the festival than you probably would have.
It's just being able to have a mosey and not have to worry about your toddler running wild, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. I could spend a lot of time looking at the different stalls and chatting to people in there. But for a toddler, they're going to get bored really quickly, especially in the heat. So, yeah, we utilised that time really well. But I would go as far as saying that it probably is my favourite festival now at Epcot.
Ooh, that's a big one.
I've been to Flower and Garden a couple of times. We've been ourselves once. I've been to Food and Wine, I think the most, given the time.
Do you not like Flower and Garden because of the butterflies?
Not a big butterfly fan.
I like Flower and Garden because of the smells and how colourful it is.
It is beautiful. And the Food and Wine, I mean, the food and drink offerings you have, there's a lot to choose from there. Of an evening as a Disney adult, if you're going around with friends, you can make a really good night of Food and Wine. But just the combination of all of the different things that you can see, you can do, you can experience, I think Festival of the Arts is probably going to be my number one at the minute.
That is a bold statement.
It is. And maybe listeners can let us know in the comments, what's your favourite Epcot festival? Have you been to all of them? And if you have, which one's your number one? Okay, festival aside, let's have a look at some of the rides and attractions that we were able to get on. Like we said, Guardians wasn't constructed when we went there, which was a shame. Definitely one to do next time from all of the different reviews we've been hearing. Ratatouille was the big new one. We didn't go on it.
No, but we've been on it in Paris before.
That was one of the main reasons why we didn't go on it. We went with my parents and they took Penny on that ride. A bit like we've mentioned before with 3D rides. She wasn't a massive fan.
She's not a huge fan of 3D, which I don't blame her. And it was the first time she'd ever done 3D on that trip, wasn't it? So that was major overstimulation.
Take the 3D element away of it, she probably would have been fine.
Yeah, I think we should have just taken the glasses off and she would have been fine.
She mentioned about a wine bottle popping, and I think that sort of frightened her, knowing that there was a cork flying towards her. A little bit like Fill Our Magic.
I don't think it was the cork, I think it was the fact it got her wet as well.
Yeah, she just wasn't experiencing that. So maybe something to be cautious about if you are taking a little one and considering Ratatouille, that there is a few jumpy moments and the 3D element there.
Maybe do it without glasses first. Probably unpopular opinion, but it's not a fan favourite of mine, Ratatouille. Hence why we weren't worried about going on it.
That's another thing. It's like you say, it's not one of my favourites in the rides that we've done at Disneyland Paris. We haven't really sat down and watched that film. No. I mean, it's a perfect addition for Epcot's French Pavilion because obviously it's an IP based in France. It has done very well in Disneyland Paris, so I can see why it's come to Epcot.
But I don't understand why the wait times are so high in Florida for it.
I think it's just the shiny new thing at the time. I think you'll see that wait time come down quite dramatically. It probably already has. I know it opened up with a virtual queue. I don't know if now it's able to be.
Yeah, I think so.
A standby queue.
I think it's just standby now. Hence why it was such a long wait time.
But not one for us, but you know, I'm sure there are plenty of Ratatouille fans out there that are really happy to have that over in Epcot.
The only other thing we did in France was the Beauty and the Beast show.
So we've never done that before.
Or the sing-along, isn't it? It's not a show.
Yeah. So it's a retelling of the story from LeFou's perspective.
Yeah, it's about 20 minutes long.
With a bit of sing-songs in between. Good aircon break.
If your kid loves singing, they'll love it.
If you're into props of movies, the wait area had a lot of the props from the live-action Beauty and the Beast as well as the animated ones.
I wouldn't wait too long for it, but if you got a 5-10 minute wait and your kid's flagging a little bit, I'd definitely take a seat in there and watch it. Chill out for a bit.
Yeah, definitely a well worth break from the Floridian sun when it does get too intense. So moving along the World Showcase, we popped over to another fairly new ride, certainly new for us because we've never been on it before, and that was the Frozen ride.
Yeah, this one was a completely new one for me because I didn't do
Maelstrom,
what it was previously.
Was a big fan of Maelstrom growing up, and in my mind it's not as good of a ride that Maelstrom was.
Oh, I like the Frozen ride though.
But it was a good ride.
And Penny loved it.
Yeah, it was made for Penny.
We got soaked from what I remember.
Yeah, the drop does get you wet.
Yeah.
It does get you wet. The animatronics and the way that they've incorporated Frozen into that ride is really, really clever.
Yeah, I really liked it. She would have done it over and over again if it wasn't such a long wait. We bought a lightning lane for it, didn't we? Because the queues were just extortionate when we went.
The wait time never came down, did it?
45 minutes to an hour or over, wasn't it?
Yeah, but definitely worth it. Definitely worth the cost to go on. If you've got a little one or yourself as a big Frozen fan, then it's a bit of a must-do.
Yep, I'd agree. It was good. She still talks about that right now.
Yeah, I think it'll be one that when we do end up going again, it'll be one of the top 5 rides that Penny will want to go on.
Agreed.
She's very much into a boat ride, as we mentioned before.
She loves a boat ride.
And this one is a boat ride themed to Frozen. I mean, who isn't going to enjoy that?
It's not my favourite boat ride in Epcot, though.
Not your favourite boat ride in Epcot? Does that take us across to the next door neighbour of Norway?
It does.
Into Mexico?
It's my favourite. It always will be.
That, I've got to admit, is up there as one of my favourite Walt Disney World rides.
Grand Fiesta Tour will always be my favourite ride in Epcot.
It's just nostalgia to a classic time of Epcot. The screens are a little bit pixelated now. They haven't changed it in God knows how many years, but it never gets old.
I was just happy when we got that they'd fixed the Donald animatronic and he was actually there waving his flag.
Yeah, there was a moment when Donald had disappeared and was replaced by a cactus in a hat. But luckily we got the full version of the Grand Fiesta Tour, and the animatronic of Donald was there dancing around with his maracas.
If you come off that ride and don't have that song stuck in your head, there's something wrong with you.
The Mexican Pavilion as a whole is my favourite pavilion.
Ooh, that's a bold statement. You are full of bold statements in this one.
We're going in hard. It's this bold statement day.
Is it my favourite? Probably is, you know. Yeah, I probably hold you to that. It probably is my favourite too.
I love it.
It's the only one you have to walk into to get to the ride as well. Like, you don't have to walk in through Norway. We only went in Norway purely to look at the match. But we've still never been in the bakery there, which everyone talks about. The school bread.
Oh, yeah, outside. I don't know what its name is, but yeah.
We've been there 4 times now. Well, I've been there 4 times now. We've never once walked in there.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Same with France. I can't even tell you if we've walked round the left of France.
Where the patisserie is.
Yeah,
we've never been in it.
So for that reason, Mexico is probably the best because you have to walk in there and experience it.
Yeah, I just think the way that they've designed inside that pavilion to make it look like you're in a courtyard outside in Mexico of an evening, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. There's always a really good atmosphere in there. Even at the time that we went, obviously, Feb 22, we were coming out of the pandemic at that point, and there were certain areas that were restricted with capacity, indoor pavilion being one of them. There was still a buzz about that pavilion inside there. The music and the background music that you have in there, and obviously the ride just makes it.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Okay, away from the World Showcase, a few other rides that we went to were headed over to the land area.
Yeah.
We went on Soarin.
We did.
Can't go on a Walt Disney trip without going on Soarin.
No, Penny wasn't big enough, so that was a Nanny and Grandad went on Living with the Land. Much to your dismay, because you didn't actually get to go on Living with the Land.
No, it's another boat trip, which Penny enjoyed, but we didn't make it this time.
No.
But Soarin is a must-do. I would queue for a significant amount of time just to get on Soarin. I love it.
I still think it's scary to this day.
Yeah, you're not great with heights.
No, but you manage to drag me on it every time.
And
I feel like I enjoy it halfway through when I've got over the fact that I'm up really, really high.
This is sort of artificial height, isn't it?
It doesn't make a difference. If you're scared of heights, you're scared of heights.
Yeah. But no, I love it. I can't wait to take Penny on that ride. I think next time we go, she'll probably be tall enough.
She should be high enough.
She loves the music. She loves the score that we listen to repeatedly on Spotify. But just everything about it, the musical score, the smells, the scenes themselves, absolutely love that ride.
Is it your favourite Epcot ride?
I think it probably is. I think it's probably my favourite ride. I have a soft spot for Spaceship Earth. I have a soft spot for Grand Fiesta Tour. I preferred the original test track to what it is now, but I think Soarin' tops a lot of them.
Wow.
Outside of the land, another ride that we experienced together and Penny was chuffed to bits on was everyone's favourite Purple Dragon and the Journey into Imagination with Figment.
It's a very old ride. And it freaks me out every time we go on it, but you feel like you have to go on it. The music is just annoying to me. But somehow she loved it. Well, I say she loved it. She loved it up until the smells, because the noise of the smells just freaked her out beyond words.
It was the last part where it's imagination's a blast, and then it all opens up, but the blast took her by surprise. But she was alright because the music kicked in then, so she was just laughing and clapping around.
With the smells, it's just a Figment dressed as a skunk, and it's just a load of hissing, and yeah, she wasn't keen on that, was she? But the music made up for it at the end, because then she was like, wow, this is colourful, and it's a purple dragon. To which then we got conned because we came out into the gift shop. She was like, I love Figment now, and we had to buy a shoulder pad for her.
Yes, yeah, we did. Yeah, so we had to walk around with a shoulder Figment around the rest of the park. That was good.
She went for a nap, didn't she, as soon as we came out, and she literally hugged it like she'd never hugged a teddy before.
He is good Figment. The original Figment with the Dreamfinder was definitely my favourite. Did you get a chance to see that?
No, it was
always Eric Idle.
Yeah, it's always been Eric Idle when I've been.
The Dreamfinder animatronic was really good as well. But I mean, it probably is time for some form of revamp of Figment. There must be another idea that can be done. It's in the exit pavilion of Figment. Penny was able to meet Vanellope from Wreck-It Ralph.
Yes, and it was Joy, wasn't it, from Inside Out, but she didn't want to meet Joy.
Yeah, it was good that they had a couple of people in that exit area to meet. I thought that was really good.
She only wanted to meet Vanellope because her name sounds like Penelope.
Yeah, as soon as she said her name, she was like, oh, that sounds like me. Yeah. And wanted to go and get a photo, which got a couple of photos.
I thought that pavilion bit was really good, though, because everything was open, wasn't it? So it was already interactive. Even if you don't go on the ride, you can still walk in there and go and play on everything.
Yeah, all the different musical instruments that you can play.
Yeah, so they had the musical floor tiles, didn't they? They had the one where you have to wave your hand and you make Figment go across the screen. What was the others? There was 2 others, wasn't there?
It was good that all of that was open, given the time that we were going as well. I wondered whether that would all be closed off to people playing with interactive things. I suppose you're not really touching anything at that point.
No, it wasn't touch, was it?
And also the entrance to the DVC lounge is found in that pavilion as well for all of those DVC members listening and wondering where the pavilion is. That's where you go
in the gift shop.
Yes, you don't have to ride Figment to go on to the DVC lounge. It's not like a qualifying element. You have to be a DVC member and you've got to withstand the Figment ride. You actually go around the back and go into the shop and then go up into your lounge.
God, I think they'd have to put that in people's contracts if that was the case.
I think they should do that.
No, they should not.
Okay, we stepped outside of the Figment Pavilion, walking straight past the Land Pavilion where Soarin' was, and we're heading down to the Seas with Nemo and Friends.
This was Penny's favourite of Epcot.
We spent a lot of time in here.
3 times did we go in there?
Yeah, I think every time we went in there, and we went in there for a significant amount of time.
Yeah.
So much to see and do in that pavilion.
Yeah, the ride alone's good, but the aquarium bit inside is pretty epic.
So Penny loved the Nemo ride, and the ride's really clever. The fact that it has the projection of the Finding Nemo characters on glass where you can see the actual aquarium behind it. That's really, really clever. And then to exit that ride and be in what I believe is the largest aquarium in North America.
Wow.
And you could spend half a day just walking around there.
They got dolphins, they got manatees, they got turtle, seahorses, eels.
So many tropical fish.
Yeah. Penny made friends with a diver because he was in there cleaning.
Yeah, cleaning out the tanks, gave her a good wave.
So she thought that was pretty cool. It's good. It's a good way for kids to learn about sea creatures they'd probably never see in the wild.
It's so in keeping of Epcot. It's got entertainment in there, it's immersion, it's interactive, it's educational. That encapsulates Epcot in that one pavilion.
We're an animal family anyway, though, aren't we? So it was always going to be a winner for Penny.
Yeah, definitely. And they had a nice addition of a scavenger hunt within that pavilion as well, didn't they? The Finding Dory one, we had to go and find Dory's friends.
Yeah, Dory and her friends. That's a free little booklet you pick up when you get off the ride.
Yeah.
And it has stickers in it. I mean, half the stickers went on her instead of in the booklet, but she enjoyed finding most of them.
Yeah, and again, another free scavenger hunt for toddlers to go around while adults are taking in some more of the more educational elements of Disney conservation. So, again, another win-win.
Note to all those press penny finders as well. Those press penny machines as you leave the aquarium.
And that's to the right of the gift shop when you're walking out. We actually had to go back to that penny pavilion, if you remember, because she came out. She was so excited to have her press penny that she dropped it.
Yeah, she did.
We lost it, so we had to go and get another one.
Yeah, we did.
Another good spot to get one of the 50 press pennies.
Yep.
Okay, last but not least with the rides that we went on was the OG attraction, the icon of the park, Spaceship Earth. Again, I don't think a Walt Disney World trip is complete without going on Spaceship Earth.
That was our last ride of Epcot.
It was usually we do it on the way going in, but the queue for it going in this time was really, really...
It was really busy every time we went, actually, apart from that evening when we were leaving. We didn't plan on going on it, did we? It was just because the queue was only 5 minutes and we were on our way out.
Yeah, so we thought we had to. But I love it. If you think of Epcot, you think of Spaceship Earth.
Yes, the original, isn't it?
I'm also really glad that they kept this rendition of Spaceship Earth for the time being. I know that's probably got something to do with the pandemic and pausing some of the construction updates that are going on in Epcot, but they did plan for a brand new storyline within Spaceship Earth, but that was shelved, and because that was shelved, Spaceship Earth was open for us to enjoy, so that was really, really good.
Yeah, Penny really liked that one, didn't she?
Really
I was
liked it.
surprised. I wasn't sure whether she would, because obviously for little kids, sometimes animatronics are a bit hit and miss, aren't they? But she really enjoyed it.
I think it's just the thought of being in a spaceship that she really, really liked, and also coming back down backwards was quite fun for her as well.
Yeah, it's quite novelty, isn't it?
Yeah, so we got to go on the iconic ride in Epcot.
Randomly, we had a bit of cast member magic as well, didn't we, before we got on that ride? We went in to get a badge, didn't we, just for my first visit, and the cast member said about Penny having a Mickey bar, didn't she? And we said, oh no, we haven't had a Mickey bar yet, and she wrote out a complimentary voucher, didn't she, for Penny to have a Mickey bar for free.
Yeah, so for those that haven't been to Walt Disney World and are going for the first time, or going when there's a birthday or some form of celebration, engagement, etc., you can go to guest services or say the town hall in Magic Kingdom, and you can pick up free of charge complimentary badges to signal that you are celebrating something. And when you're walking around the park, cast members look out for these badges and then give you a, oh, happy birthday, or oh, congratulations on your first time. DVC members get one and they say welcome home to you because you're a DVC member.
You can get a badge for everything.
You literally can. And it's a nice free memento of your trip, which, you know, going to a place which is the merchandise capital of the world, you've got to take the freebies.
Exactly.
Yeah, so a shout out to the cast member Rebecca R, Thank you kindly for Penny's first Mickey bar. Also, Epcot was the first place on our trip that we had a character dining experience, and that was at Garden Grill.
This was all me, wasn't it? Because I was adamant this time we were going to Garden Grill.
It's a place I've always wanted to eat.
And from what we'd seen on other people's vlogs before we went, Garden Grill seemed to have the most interactive character meats with the restrictions. And yet, who doesn't want to eat in a rotating restaurant?
Yeah, definitely. It's classed as Chippendale's Harvest Feast. So you had Chippendale, you had Mickey dressed up as a farmer, which was amazing, and Pluto, and they would just continuously walk around that circular restaurant. They certainly spent a lot of time with each table.
So when we went, we were in a booth, weren't we? But they didn't seat anyone up the top, so the characters came and basically stood above your booth up the top. So you didn't get any of like the next to the table bits. But Penny was stood up on the seat, like high-fiving and giving knuckles to each of the characters, and it was never an issue. And I think we saw each of the characters 4 times in the hour and a half we were in there.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't just like a flash, take a picture onto the next table, was it? You could really have a conversation, a good interaction with them.
The meal wasn't rushed, the character interaction wasn't rushed. I would do it again. I'd go back every time because I thought it was well worth the money.
I think as well as the character interaction being a hit, the food there as well was really, really good.
The food was really nice when we went. I don't know if we just got really lucky because it was quite quiet, so everything felt like really fresh. We went for the first sitting as well, from what I remember.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we just got lucky with that as well. It was really good quality food.
Yeah, the food was presented to us in family style, so it's all you care to enjoy. There was a garden salad that was accompanying a big skillet of turkey, beef, vegetables. There was mashed potatoes, there was macaroni and cheese,
gravy.
There was something called spoon bread, which was really nice.
Yeah, you like that. Me and Penny weren't a fan, so that got demolished by you, didn't it?
Really, really good. I could eat that all day. And then we had a dessert, which was like a berry shortcake with cream.
It was all really family friendly as well. Like she can be quite a fussy eater, well, she was at this point, wasn't she? But she didn't have any issues with the food.
No, and the great thing about it being family style is if you had finished an item of your skillet and you wanted more of that, you could just ask your server for a little bit more. So if you did have a fussy eater who only liked 1 or 2 things and that went really quickly, that you could just ask for more and they could bring it to you. I mean, we had a second helping of the beef because the beef was particularly nice.
The beef and the mash, from what I remember, because Penny loved the mash. It was good. It was really good. I really enjoyed it.
Definitely recommend it to anyone. And of course, the added bonus of the restaurant rotating. That's a bit of a novelty factor. And it rotates through the land ride as well from above. So, kind of did get to ride the land, but from a different perspective. We were up the top instead of being on the boat. And I still got to see my dream home. So I was happy about that.
With your dog on the porch?
With the dog. Probably have to turn the animatronic dog off after a while because of the barking. But
and the cockerel.
I would gladly live there. If they want to open the gates and they want a resident, just let me know.
I'll go live with Mickey and Chippendale upstairs and eat all the food.
Okay, we've done everything that Epcot has to offer in the daytime. Let's talk about our experience at night time. So like we said, grandparents came with us. They kindly looked after Penny when we put it down for an evening. And as we were going in February, we decided to go on a date night on Valentine's Day to Epcot. And we ate at our favourite pavilion, the Mexican Pavilion. We ate at San Angel's.
It's a place I've always wanted to eat. Because it always just looks really romantic and really peaceful. And from all the reviews we read, it never came across as rushed, did it? It's not one of the cheapest restaurants, so you've got to be willing to pay a little bit more for Mexican food. But I definitely thought the food was worth it, and the service was definitely worth it.
Yeah, again, we got quite lucky that it was actually really quiet. I don't know why it was really quiet on Valentine's Day. Our server was really attentive. The food was really good.
Food was really tasty.
Some of the best food we've had on holiday there.
Yeah, it's not just your standard Mexican food, is it? So it was really tasty.
So I had the ribeye tacos and you had the
Enchiladas.
chicken enchiladas.
They were so good.
Those meals were plentiful.
Huge portions.
Really big portions if you're looking for it. It does come at a bit of a price, but you do get a lot of food for your money. We also had a nice bottle of red in there as well. And what was really nice is because we were enjoying ourselves so much, we also wanted to go out and see the fireworks, and they allowed us to take the remaining part of our bottle of wine in plastic cups out to watch the fireworks with our glass of wine, so we didn't lose out on the wine as well. So that was really good.
It was a huge bonus, wasn't it?
Definitely. But before we got to the wine, we saw it online before we went. We had to experience it when we knew we were going to test that San Angels, and that was the chocolate fiesta pyramid. So it was a dessert sharer for two in the shape of the Mexican Pavilion, the pyramid.
Ridiculous.
It was incredible.
It was so big.
It was huge. Definitely could have. It said perfect for sharing. I don't know how many people it was perfect for sharing for.
I think you needed to share between 4 because 2 of you would not demolish it after a main meal.
We enjoyed a small portion of it.
I don't think we even got through a quarter.
I don't think we did, no. And we, again, were lucky enough that they could box it up and take it home. And I think it lasted a fair few days afterwards, just in the fridge back at the villa.
And when I say we boxed it up, we didn't even box up the sponge. The only bit we boxed up was the pure chocolate and the mousse in the middle.
The chocolate casing for that pyramid is some of the nicest chocolate I've had.
Amazing.
It's really, really nice. Really, really good. It's presented really, really well. Yes, it's a pricey dessert, but if you're going, as a table of 4 and you're all chocolate lovers, go for the Fiesta Pyramid for sure.
Yeah, it was epic.
Really, really nice. I know it was a 50th anniversary dessert, so I don't know how long it's going to stick around for. Whether they just keep it and drop the 50 element of it, I'm not too sure. But I really do hope it's there next time.
Like, they'd made it iridescent and everything.
It was presented really, really well. For those who are following our Instagram at Devonshire_Diz, we'll post some photos of our meal at San Angels, and we'll post a picture of this pyramid because it is incredible.
It was so good.
Really, really good.
That was another Loz buy.
And it was a great meal. It's definitely a recommended place if you do want to have a more romantic meal for the two of you.
More relaxed. It's like probably the more relaxed part of Disney, I'd say. It's a bit odd walking out after a really nice chilled meal to like a horde of people walking past the Mexican Pavilion, or in a rush to get to the fireworks. That was a bit of a culture shock when we left, wasn't it?
But we did. We had a really good meal in St. Angels. Definitely recommended. And then we headed outside with the remaining red wine to watch the fireworks, which was Harmonious.
I think we only got there 10 minutes before.
Yeah, we got quite lucky with where we stood. We stood essentially to the left of the Christmas shop. It always used to be a really busy area. I think they've cornered off part of it for like the dessert parties these days.
Yeah.
But there is still a section at the forefront of the lake to watch the fireworks from. And we were quite lucky. We were raised so we could see everything from where we were. We weren't right at the front of the lake. We were a little bit back. But actually we had loads of room. We weren't shoulder to shoulder at that point. And yeah, we got to experience Harmonious, which is going to be a thing of the past soon.
Mm-hmm.
I hear they're taking away the barges that have had a bit of a controversial time in the Epcot lake, but as a firework display, Harmonious was thoroughly enjoyed. I really, really liked it.
There was far more fireworks and far more music in this one compared to the previous show, I thought.
Yeah, I like the spin on, obviously it's IP music for different films, but being sung in the culture of where that film is represented. I thought that was a really good touch.
And I actually quite like the barges for the projections during it. I know they're a bit of an eyesore during the day because they are so huge, but during the show I thought the projections were really good.
Yeah, the fountains that lit up, the screens on all of the barges, really, really good touch. The Coco section of Harmonious was incredible. with the lasers going, the music going off, and all of the light show. That was really, really good.
That bit and the Princess and the Frog are the two that stand out for me.
Yeah, I really like the Princess and the Frog part. I get it from a daytime perspective. It probably wasn't what they were hoping for.
No.
I think if they could turn back the time, they would find a way to be able to usher it backstage, and then bring it in a bit like the Globe for Illuminations. I'll be intrigued to see what happens there. Surely they're not going to spend the amount of money that they had spent making those barges to just scrap it after 18 months. I think that they'll have to incorporate something, whether they have been able to figure out a way of, ushering it back in.
Maybe.
I'm not too sure. I know Epcot Forever's coming back. I've not seen Epcot Forever, so it'll be interesting to see that and how long that's going to be. But Josh Damaro did mention that there is going to be a brand new nighttime show in Epcot soon, so I'm excited to see what happens there. How does it fare in comparison to you, to Illuminations?
I mean, I wouldn't say one was like head and shoulders above the other, in my opinion. They're both really good. I liked how many more fireworks there were and the music in Harmonious, but I preferred the storyline in Illuminations.
Yeah, the Globe itself became pretty iconic in the way that it opened, and the finale of Illuminations especially was pretty incredible.
But that was the whole point of Epcot and the showcase, wasn't it? It was that it was supposed to bring everything together. And that's the only thing that Harmonious didn't really grasp. Like, it showcased each pavilion, but it didn't showcase them all as one.
Yeah, I agree. The two stand alone themselves. I don't think it's a great comparison.
No.
Out of the two, I think they are two very different nighttime shows. I appreciate it is a nighttime show in Epcot, so there obviously is going to be comparisons, but
if you've seen Harmonious and not Illuminations, you'd love Harmonious.
Yeah, I don't think you're disappointed with either.
Like, you can't really compare the two, I don't think, in my opinion. They're two very different shows.
Yeah, I'll be intrigued to see what the next performance of the Epcot nighttime show brings, and what sort of angle they go. Do they take it back of incorporating the pavilions and the togetherness of people, or will they keep an element of IP involved and try and incorporate a mixture of the two of them? It would be very interesting to see. But hey, we've got a new nighttime show to look forward to when we head back to Epcot whenever we do, so that's really good.
Yep.
Okay, fireworks are over, heading out of the park, going back to the bus. But before we leave, what I would call probably the best addition that we experienced on our Walt Disney World holiday. Another big statement dropping in.
Well, no, right? You're full of them today.
But the beacons of magic and the illuminating of Spaceship Earth, that was a masterstroke by Imagineers this year.
I loved Animal Kingdoms, but they'd done the projections before, whereas this was something completely new. Yeah. I loved it. I loved the Epcot beacon. It was by far my favourite. Why they'd never put lights on Spaceship Earth before baffles me.
I remember when they initially said that this was something that they were going to do, and I saw online there were a few different outlets that were saying, oh, I can't believe they're going to be putting these LED bulbs on different areas of Spaceship Earth. It's going to take away from the daytime looking at a little bit like the barge.
You couldn't even see them. You walked up to it and you couldn't even see the lights on there. No. You wouldn't be able to tell anyone where the lights were in between Spaceship Earth.
And for what you got of an evening of a nighttime show, it's incredible. It's such a great addition. And with the entrance hub being so open now, you can just sit there and watch the beacon for hours. It's really is a really good addition to Epcot.
How they do it to music with the lights is just amazing.
We've also seen that obviously they've added different segments to the beacons throughout the year. So there's been other different elements dependent on the different festival.
And they had a Christmas one, didn't they? And they had one for Valentine's Day. And I think they've been bringing them out for the festivals, haven't they, in general?
Yeah.
It was really good. I really liked it.
Yeah.
If you can spare 10 minutes before you run back to the bus, of an evening. Go and do it.
Yeah.
They've also got a good photo opportunity, and I don't know if you remember this, on the way to Nemo, because you can get the backside of Spaceship Earth. So you walk right past Spaceship Earth towards Nemo, and there's a cameraman that will catch you with the Spaceship Earth behind you, and loads of people were having that, weren't they?
Yeah, it was a huge queue for that.
We couldn't stop because we were late for our meal at that point, but I was a bit gutted we didn't because the photos must have looked amazing.
Yeah, we got a couple of photo pass photos in the entrance hub with Spaceship Earth all lit up, and they're some of my favourite photos that we've captured on photo pass for sure.
Yeah, just amazing.
Definitely a recommendation. Highly doubt they're going to be getting rid of the beacon or illuminating Spaceship Earth anytime soon, because it's been a hit universally for people that have gone to see it. And yeah, just such a great addition to this new refurb of Epcot. I'm looking forward to seeing plenty more, and hopefully next time we go to Epcot, the central hub will be complete and it'll be more of a completed park again. Perfect. Well, that only leaves one last element of our Epcot visits this time around, and that is, need to find a quirky theme tune for it, but it's Lauren's merchandise breakdown.
I genuinely don't think we bought that much in Epcot.
I don't think we did, but we have to mention the merchandise in Epcot because historically, Mouse Gear has been one of my favourite Disney shops, and of course Mouse Gear is now transformed into the new Creation shop. So how did you find Creations in comparison to Mouse Gear?
A lot brighter. Mouse Gear was always dark.
It seemed easier to get around.
Yeah, it was just really open and easy to get through. I really liked it. I thought it was easier to find what you were looking for as well. I always got lost in Mouse Gear.
Mouse Gear was pretty iconic back in the day. Everyone who's been to Epcot will probably agree that Mouse Gear was one of the better Disney shops, but Creations is a really good addition.
The first time we went to Epcot, I thought Mouse Gear was purely a shop for hats.
Yeah, they had a really big hat section on the main sort of road down, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, there's a lot of variety in there. It's very, very light, like I said, in comparison to what Mouse Gear was. It's all very spaced out. Loads of tills, which is a welcome addition in comparison to Mouse Gear, because I remember queuing up in Mouse Gear to pay for different bits and pieces so much.
What did we buy? We bought Penny a top. We bought a magnet, obviously. Wishables. Yeah, I think we bought 2 Wishables in there.
The Wishables set was complete in Magic Kingdom, but there were a couple of additions from Epcot.
Yeah.
But yeah, another good update to Epcot, the Creation Shop. I know Club Cool is next door as well.
Yeah,
now.
That wasn't open in time for us, was it? Which I was a bit sad about.
I think we missed it by weeks, so we didn't get to enjoy a free cup of Beverly, which no one was complaining about. But
although it would have been funny to see a 3-year-old's face of Beverly.
Yeah, I think next time we'll have to try her out on it, definitely.
Although she's not a sweet fan or a soda fan, is she? So
she's not a sweet fan, so she may like Beverly. You never know.
Who knows?
Great stuff, and that is our thoughts and opinions of our most recent trip to Epcot. Can't wait to go back there. It will always be one of my favourite places to go in Walt Disney World.
It's my second favourite park. Bold statement.
Bold statement. And with that, thank you very much for listening. If you like this episode, please rate and review wherever you are tuning in, and share amongst your friends. It really helps our little podcast grow. Be sure to check out previous episodes that we have recorded, and if you're on Instagram, you can find us over at Devonshire_Diz. If you're interested in sharing your love for all things Disney, feel free to get in contact with us there. We look forward to saying hey. But for now, thank you once again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm going to keep it in again.
No, don't.